Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video I am going to give my very honest opinion about the University of York, and more specifically York Law School. It's going to be the good, the bad, the ugly, so let's hop straight into it. I just want to put a disclaimer at the start of this video to say this is just my opinion, this is based on my experiences, and some of these, well, an odd one or two are specific to me and my experience here. So I'm sure that there are people that have been to the University of York and have done a law degree here that absolutely loved it. So don't take this for gospel, just take it for an idea of this is what one student has experienced at that university, and hopefully it'll be insightful, because for me, I always find that when you go on YouTube and you see people talking about university, they're always talking about the good bits and they never actually share, the really bad things about the university. And I think that's important to note, because all universities have their downfalls, but I think, it should be known what each ones are. So for context, I did a law degree at the University of York. I was here for 3 years. And I was in Constantine College. I did it from 2017 to 2020, and I'm going to start this video by going into all the bad stuff first and then end on a good note and say all the things I like about the university. Okay, I have a list. It's a bit long. Okay, so it isn't necessarily a strict structure to these either. I literally just wrote them down as I kind of thought of them, so they might be a bit all over the place. So the first one I have is limited opportunities and support for the barrister route and non-law careers. Basically, if you want to be a corporate solicitor, there is every opportunity under the sun for you at York. However, the barrister route, I think there's 1 or 2 workshops a year, and for non-law careers, you have to go to the Central University rather than within the law school, and then the Central University don't know how to market a law degree for non-law options, so basically you're kind of left in the lurch, and it's not really a good place to be. And although you might think, well, it is a law school, surely, non-law careers are very rare that people would want to pursue that. Actually, no, 50% of people who do a law degree don't end up pursuing law, and they end up doing a non-law alternative career. So considering those statistics, you would think that the law school would give greater support to people who are in those positions. Don't get me wrong, there are things available, but I think there is one non-law alumni networking event a year. 1 hour a year, and bear in mind for every other solicitor event there's about 4 a week, so you can see how there's limited support there. Second one is there's often no feedback on assessments, and it takes 6 to 8 weeks to get your grades or feedback. This, oh my gosh, anyone that actually goes to York Law School, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. This is the most annoying thing about the law school, in my opinion. You would do an essay, and then you would say in a month's time have another one due, and I would really want to get my grade or my feedback before the next one's due, so I know where I'm going wrong, right? But no, they don't do it like that. They basically wait for you to do 2 or 3 essays before you get the first one back. So if you've screwed up one, you've screwed up 3 or 4, and typically you'd be waiting 6 to 8 weeks to get feedback or get a grade back. For example, now I'm actually still waiting from assessments I did in my first year, in my second year, and in my third year for feedback on them. So that's great. Literally, there are essays that I did, for third year alone, for example, there are literally essays that I did in January, in April, that I still haven't even got my feedback for. The April essay, haven't even got my grade back for. Bear in mind it's June. So, it's not great, but it is what it is. And also what's annoying, I think, on this topic is that in my second year, the law school introduced a 28-day policy for assessments, which they basically said that within the university, it was then mandatory to return essays within a 28-day period. Yet this was never stuck to. So I actually don't know whether this policy is still in place or whether they're just breaching it, but moving on. Staff. Okay, the staff, hefty topic here. There's quite a few names that I've listed down here which to jog my memory of what they did, but I'm not gonna name names. I just don't really think that's would achieve anything, especially considering a few of these people have left the law school now. So staff, my first PA that I had, which is our personal advisor, our academic supervisor, genuinely was awful. I can't emphasize that enough, and it's not just me. Every single PA he has had that I know has said he is awful. It's not like just a me thing, it is just a renowned, like, he is not a great guy. Purely because I had him for my first year and then I switched. And my second PA, in fairness, great, he was fine. But my first, as I said, the first one, basically he just like didn't care at all about us. And he like didn't even bother to even remember our names or what we wanted to do with our like careers or whatever. And bear in mind, there's not many, he only has like, what, 30 PAs or something? It's not many people, you know, like come on, at least read my file before you have a meeting with me. I remember distinctly in second term, I had my PA meeting in my first year. And at that point I was like mid-breakdown and I was like, I don't think I want to do law, I don't know what I'm doing, like having a whole saga about it. And when I had my meeting with him, I basically tried to explain to him that I'm not doing well at law school. He literally just turned around and said, oh well, it's a marathon, not a sprint, you'll be all right. And then proceeded to tell me all about his summer plans for the remainder of our like PA talk, about where he's jetting off to and what he's doing. And like he was the type of guy, like he would ask me, he'd go, what are you doing this summer? And I'd go, well, I've got to work. And he'd go, shame, I'm jetting off to here, and all of my holidays. And you just sit there and think, what a guy. Anyway, another lecture here. This is actually like tea. I haven't got a drink, but tea. Basically in second year, I did this module, and at the end of the year, I wanted to get feedback on a particular part of like the assessment that we did. So I emailed this lecturer and I was like, can we meet up to go through the essay? So I had my meeting with him, and as soon as I sat down, he was like, yeah, I didn't read your assessment. And I was like, oh, right, do you want to read it now? And he was like, no, I just won't bother. And I was like, we can go upstairs, like I can get it in your office if you want, like it's fine. He's like, no, let's just like have a chat instead. And then proceeded to hit on me for the remainder of that meeting. And I was like, how do I get out of here? So that wasn't fun, nor professional. And to be fair, that lecturer specifically, I've heard quite a few things that he gets around a bit, trying to chat up people in the law school. So yeah, one to watch. In my second year, I did this module called Philosophy of Law, and basically the module leader left halfway through the course and didn't tell us that he was leaving, and the law school didn't tell us he was leaving, even though they knew like 2 months beforehand. So from like February, we didn't have a teacher for like the rest of the year, and we were just like one day told like, yeah, your classes are cancelled for the rest of the year, and we're like, great. And bear in mind, like we were still assessed as well, as if we did have all of our classes, so we loved that. It literally took me, a student, to go to the law school and be like, well, where is our lecturer? Like, what is happening with this module? And one of the lecturers was like, yeah, I don't know actually, I guess we'll sort it out. And it took a month for them to sort out a replacement for that module. So yeah, efficiency and organisation is clearly not their strong points. And then the remainder of the things here in terms of staff basically can be summarised as the staff are just like not bothered. Don't get me wrong, I think there's what, like over 50 people as academic staff at the law school, and like there's probably a good 10 or 15 that are really great, like really great, you know, and there's probably another 10 or 15 that I've never had dealings with, so I wouldn't know to comment on. But there equally is probably a good 10 that are awful. And I don't necessarily mean awful in terms of their teaching or the quality of their lectures and things like that. No, I just mean their personal skills to talk to students is just very, very, very poor. Like, they just give off a whole vibe as, I'm not interested, I don't want you to be here, I'm doing this out of like contractual obligation rather than I am a lecturer and I want to help you. And they genuinely just were very just rude. Like, for example, at the start of my third year, I went to speak to the guy who is the head of the dissertation module, and I basically said, like, this is my plan for my dissertation, this is the grade that I want to get, like, what do you think, you know, any tips basically. And he turned around and said to me, bear in mind he was a new academic to that year, he didn't know me, didn't know anything about me, anything about my academic ability, and he turned around and said, that grade that you want to get, that's too high, you need to be less ambitious and just lower your standards and then you won't be disappointed. Oh wow, that's motivational, gee, thanks. And I remember saying, well no, like, I think I can get this grade, so can you give me any tips to help me get there? And he was just like, you know, no, just lower your expectations, it'll be easy for you for this year. And I was like, wow. I want lecturers to motivate me, to be there and support me and to really want me to do well. And there were some really good lecturers that did that and really helped me throughout my time to achieve my goals. But there also was lecturers like this guy who was just kind of like, that sounds like too much work for me to help you get what you want, so I can't be bothered, just settle for like a mid-2-1 and be gone, be done with it, like it's not my problem. And it's just not the right attitude. And then, to be honest, that attitude as well of being very disinterested is kind of reflected in the head of law school. There have been numerous times where I have spoken on a one-on-one with the head of law school, and if you don't want anything from her, then she's lovely. But if you are saying to her, like, look, this isn't good enough, I want change because of these reasons, she's just kind of like, not my problem. And it's just so frustrating when the only person sort of in charge who can really make positive change at the law school doesn't care or appears to not care. So yeah, I was really frustrated, and I kind of found that out in like my second year, and since then I was just kind of like disheartened, I suppose, with a lot of the staff at the law school because of that. Oh, and then another one. So this is not a long story, but I've got to, you know, give context to why this happened. I can't believe I'm actually going to say this in this video. So, you know, basically in my second year, I was sexually assaulted, and the person who did it was also at the law school. And okay, the first thing is that, so when I wanted to report this to the university, the only person that I could report it to was unavailable for like weeks, and they didn't get back to my claim for like weeks. And bear in mind, when you're in that position, that's like the last thing that you want. And I literally had to like ring her up and email her all the time, and like it didn't do anything. So not great. The second thing was, because we were both at the law school, we were actually both ambassadors for the law school, meaning like we did the open days and stuff like that. And when I then reported this sexual assault, I got kicked off informally, but that's what happened, as an ambassador, and he got to stay on and be an ambassador because it was easier for me to not have to be there. Like, to me, that's just bullshit. Like, if anybody should have been kicked off being ambassador, it should be the person who's committed a criminal offence, not the victim. And secondly, like, there was quite a few ways that I could have stayed as an ambassador and you just kept us apart, you know? So I just found it completely unacceptable and arguably discriminatory, the fact that I suffered in more ways than one for something that somebody else did. And then more onto the academic stuff. So in second year, our grades, exam numbers and names were all released to the whole year. And they didn't do anything about it. And then when we were like, yo, this is unacceptable, they just kind of were like, oh, soz, you can change your exam number if you want. Like, okay, you've literally just told the whole year the grade that I got in a certain essay, my exam number and my name, so they can look at any other like essay that I've ever done or will do and see what grade I got. Love that. Love that. Oh, and then there was the exam fiasco. That's what I've written it down as. Basically, we're given the wrong exam paper, like, I don't know, 3 times. And then when we all complained, being like, we've had to sit in this room for like 3 extra hours than we were meant to. And then we still had to sit the exam, by the way. And after having waited in that room for like hours and it was freezing, and then people kept giving the wrong exam paper out. Some people got the right exam paper so they could cheat like an hour in advance. Loads of people left the room, colluded. It was bad. Yeah, we still had to sit that exam, and then we didn't even get any leniency on that exam in terms of marking. So again, that was not great, to say the least. I've written here overworking. This is twofold. So firstly, in terms of assessments, in first and second year especially, the way you're assessed is at the end of term 1 you have like 1 essay due. At the end of term 2 you have like 1 essay due. And then over Easter and then term 3, you have about 17 essays due, and then your exams. So basically it's kind of like a shit show, because you do like 1 essay every 10 weeks throughout the year. Then when it gets to like March, April time, you have to do 1 or 2 essays a week. I'm not talking short essays, I'm talking 2,000 to 4,000 word essays. So yeah, it's not great, nothing prepares you for it. And it basically means that you burn out all through the year, and then you do all of these assessments when you're already burnt out, and then you get burnt out even more because they're just too intense. So basically it doesn't really create a productive working environment or stable mental health. And secondly, in terms of the workload each week, especially in first and second year, like in third year this wasn't really a problem due to how they structured the modules, but in first and second year, because it was all compulsory modules and we did PBL each week, learning the foundational sort of legal subjects, it was a big problem that we were overworked a lot. Oh my god, that scared me. So there would be weeks where we would be doing like 20 hours just for PBL, which basically is one module out of 6. And then there'd be weeks where we would do like 4 hours, and constantly in those first 2 years we were all like, please just split it up so it's consistent each week, so it's not too heavy. Because there were some weeks where they would put like, okay, we're going to give you loads of extra work in legal skills and we're going to give you loads of extra work in PBL, and it would be like a 50-60 hour week, and then the next week would be really breezy, and it's like, what? Why would you do that? Just please split it up for the sake of our mental health. So then moving on more generally to PBL. So PBL is, some people argue, is a big asset to the law school. I think it's definitely unique and different, and employers definitely like it, so it has those benefits, don't get me wrong. But me personally, it wasn't for me. It wasn't my preferred teaching style, and I just think it's never executed properly. Like, it never quite works. And the law school say like, yeah, we're working out all of the kinks, but the law school's like 12 years old now, so you'd think that those kinks would be worked out. Basically PBL, how it's meant to work is you're meant to sit around in a group of like 10 or 12 people that are your law firm, and then you pick up a problem which was like written by your lecturer, it contains legal issues, you work through a set of tools, you come up with questions, and then you go away, research those questions independently, come back, tell your group what you found. That's how it's meant to work. And I think it could work that way, but it just doesn't at the law school for a number of reasons. Mainly participation. You just don't get it, okay? Even though in my second year they introduced participation marks, i.e. like 20% of your grade for that module would come from talking in class, people still don't talk in class. A lot of my PBL sessions went a lot like this. Be like me, one other person who actually wants to do well, and then 10 other people sitting, texting, Snapchatting, looking up shoes on like ASOS, or just like having a conversation amongst themselves and blatantly being rude and disrupting the whole session. How am I supposed to learn in that environment? And yes, there is a tutor in that room, but do the tutors ever go, hey guys, can we like settle down a bit? Hey guys, can we focus? No, they just let you crack on. And I know they're trying to in some way teach you to chair the session and to be able to control that yourself. But when you're 18 and you've already said 3 or 4 times, hey guys, can we focus on the task at hand? There's only so much you can do, you know? And at the end of the day, I know that if people don't want to be there, they don't want to be there, and if they don't want to contribute, they don't have to. But at the same time, when you know you're going to a law school that is heavy on collaborative learning, you'd think you'd want to be collaborative. And that really does disrupt the whole learning process, if I'm honest, because especially for me, it constantly felt like I was carrying the whole group. It gets really frustrating because you sit there and you think, well, why do I bother? Like, why am I doing majority of the work all the time for their benefit? You know what I mean? And especially in the feedback sessions, it was so apparent people had not done their research. I would see them Googling the answers in the session, going on Wikipedia, looking it up, or like going on Law Trove, which is like an online site for law books, and control Fing the right bits because they had no notes. So if they ever got asked, they could just pretend like they knew something, but actually what they were doing is whenever me and that other person would like actually say all of the law and feedback, they'd either record it on their phone so then they could have the notes that way for the essays or for the exams, or they would just write down everything that you say. So basically they could get away with doing absolutely nothing all week and just get my answers at the end of the week. And I've got to tell you, it's so frustrating, and there's literally really nothing you can do about that because if people don't want to contribute, you're just stuck in that situation. And also PBL, in third year, they pitch it as you get to take all of your own modules and the dissertation which you can write on whatever you want. Not strictly true. You're forced to take a PBL style module. So even when you get to third year and you think you finally get freedom, you're forced to take PBL. You have 4 options and you have to take one, which I ended up doing my counterterrorism, media and family module. I hated it. It wasn't very well ran. The topics weren't very interesting, and like the tutor, in my opinion, wasn't the best. And I didn't like it at all. And also within PBL, there's not really a mechanism there in place to stop bullying happening. Like, it's never personally happened to me, but I've watched it happen a lot of times in my 3 years, especially in first and second year. There'll be times when blatant racist slurs will be thrown across a PBL group, or people be really rude, digging stuff out that's very personal. And like, literally, we had a convicted paedophile in our group in second year, and we didn't even know until he left and was in prison. So, you know, oh, that wasn't fun either. And then the tutor was just kind of like, pretend not to hear, pretend not to see. I see no, I hear no. That's kind of how they were. And it's like, I know we're adults, but you still have a safeguarding duty, and surely that behaviour is like inappropriate and should be cautioned, you know what I mean? And it just never was. And I know that a lot of people have said the similar things, like where people have been racist or like whatever, or kicked off at them and really rude in PBL, and like nothing gets done about it. My final bad thing, because this has gone on forever and I really didn't anticipate it for it to go on this long, but I assure you there are some really good things about the university too. So in my third year, I applied to do an international study centre, which is like a week or two abroad, and it's sort of funded by the university, or it can be. It's run by the uni, and you go and you basically have a week or two, like broadening your horizons type thing. I got on, I was meant to be going to India, and I was meant to go for 2 weeks, fully paid the lot. I was obviously like really excited about it. Because of Corona, it got cancelled. That's fine, understandable, whatever. But the issue was that if I was a first year or a second year, or I planned to return to the university to a master's, then I would be allowed to go next year and still have it fully funded. But because I am a final year, I was not allowed to go. And to me, that is pretty discriminatory, that just because I'm a final year and Corona happened, which is fully out of my control, I have to miss out on a trip that would have been fully funded by the university that aims to enhance employability. And then basically the reasons for why they were like, you can't go, is they were like, you're not going to be a student next year. And I was like, I wouldn't have been a student in September when we would have gone on the trip. I would have literally been enrolled at another university. And then when I tried to like press that point, and I remember I had an email exchange about this being like, it's not fair, it's discriminatory, like it's so not okay, like you're doing this. And they just were like, and you know what they said? It's so like rude, I just have to laugh. They literally turned around and said, well, I know like you're really, you know, gutted about not being able to go to India, but there are some really, really good videos of India on YouTube, and I think that you'll get the same experience. Like, yes, because 2 weeks of me in India, travelling up and down India, going to ashrams and, you know, meeting people and doing yoga classes and having a cultural experience and meeting heads of NGOs out there is completely the same as me watching a blooming YouTube video. Honestly, I can't with that. It was just so bad. But yeah, so that was that. That's pretty much all the bad stuff about the university. The good things about the uni, and trust me, there are some good things about the uni. First on my list here is the careers services and Chris. So Chris Wilkinson is like the careers employability tutor at the University of York Law School, and he is a godsend, arguably, I think, one of the best things, or if not the best thing about the university. We have link days, which is a day in your first and second year where he arranges a day of work experience for you, and you get to like have preferences about where you want to go and what type of law you want to go into, and it's a really good way to get your foot in the door. I did one at a barrister's chambers in Leeds in my first year, and then I got a mini pupillage from that in my second year. So it literally is just like brilliant to network, and all of the people they normally work with are like ex-alumni, so a lot more like friendly towards York people coming in and want to help us out. And then in terms of careers events, like him and the Law Society do so much stuff in terms of careers events. You know, yeah, it is for solicitors, but there is a lot there if you do want to be a solicitor. There's networking events, panels, like Q&As that you can have. So that's really, really good. And he also is such a nice guy. The amount of times I've gone to him and been like, I don't know what I want to do, or I have this idea. What do you think, Chris? How can I help? Like, how can you help me do it? He would be really, really great. And he's always very keen as well to like advertise opportunities in the newsletter and things like that. So he is really, really good, and he's like the #1 bloke if you want to, you know, ace a job interview or get a bit of work experience. He's the person to go to. He's really good. So module choices, I'm gonna caveat it slightly, like, the module choices were good, but not if you want to do something very specific. For second year, we got to choose one module and I had a choice of I think 11, so you do have quite a good choice. But in third year, I suppose, for those modules, yes, there was about 30, but there wasn't many that you could package together if you knew you wanted to do something specific. If you wanted to do corporate, you wanted to do criminal, you were set. But if you were like me and wanted to do medical law, there was one medical law module, and it wasn't even medical law, it was mental capacity law. So I would have really loved like a more variety of modules that kind of you could sling together if you knew what path you wanted to go down. But having said all of that, the modules that were there were really good, and there was a lot of choice, as I said, if you want to do corporate or criminal. And generally there was a pretty good choice of a variety of modules, and also there was a lot of interdisciplinary modules. So as I said, I did art law, which was run by history of art and law, and then there were also modules with social policy and then law. Really good generally across the board modules. And also I've found that the interdisciplinary modules, York Law School, we also have Law Trove, which is like Netflix but for all of your law books. So it's free, the law school pay for it, and you just go on there and have all your law books. So you don't actually need to buy any law books, so it does save you quite a few £100s each year, which is good. And also the library does have a good choice. It is annoying, I've got to say, that a lot of lecturers recommend books that either have one copy in the library or aren't on Law Trove, which is, we love that. So you do end up having to either buy it or request it every other day to try and get it from the library, and have to go back and put it back in the library all the time. But like on the whole, like Law Trove is a godsend. It saved me so much money having it, and you can access all of your law books like anywhere around the world. So especially like when I went on holidays, I remember when I was in Barbados, I was literally like at night going on Law Trove and like researching for my essay, and I could do that without trekking loads of books about all the time. So like I really did like having Law Trove. And also the library are really good at ordering in books. So when I wanted to convert to medicine, I needed to basically revise GCSE and A-level chemistry, biology and physics, and they didn't have up-to-date textbooks for these in the library, so I ordered them in, and within 3 weeks they were all there, and obviously free of charge you can do that. So I really appreciated how like on it the library team were. The next few things that I really liked about the university are sort of also on the course. So I loved how our like terms are structured. So they're sort of based on like Oxford Cambridge terms. You do 10 weeks on and you have a reading week midway, which isn't normally a reading week, you just have like half as many classes, but whatever. And then you have a month off either over Christmas or over Easter, and then in third term you don't have any teaching time. So basically you get 18 weeks of teaching time a year, and then the rest is just like you doing independent study. I really loved that. I loved that our terms were only like 10 weeks in length, because it meant that it wasn't like dragging on, and you had like a month off over Christmas and Easter to like get stuff done, go on like work experience opportunities if you wanted to, but also like go home, travel, do all the things that you want to do. And I loved that. I really did. Also, we had lecture capture. Pretty much was used most of the time, which meant that all of my lectures were recorded, which I loved. When it comes to like revision or the second year, if I wanted to recap on stuff I had lectures on in first year, I could do that because they were all just stored on lecture capture. So I completely loved having lecture capture. It was a godsend, honestly. Also, I know in the first part of this video I did say there was like a lot of bad staff at the uni, but there's also like quite a few good members of staff at the uni. You know, like my PA in second and third year was really good. My dissertation supervisor was really good, absolutely loved her. And there were certain like module leaders that I had that I just really liked. I loved their teaching style and their commitment to being a lecturer, and they just felt like they really wanted to be there and really wanted to help us learn. And I really appreciate, like, I can't emphasize enough, I really appreciated them. They made my time at York like what it was. They were the people that really like lifted us all up and like helped us when we were there, and sort of counterbalanced out like all of the negative lecturers that were there. And if only the whole law school could be filled with those type of people, then I think it'd be like the dream place. And on that topic as well, like as a whole, the university is very welcoming and very open. I tried a lot of societies and like clubs and sporting teams when I was here, and I've never ever been to a social or an event or anything like that and felt not welcome or felt like I shouldn't have been there. Everybody pretty much, even if you don't know anyone, pretty much just welcomes you in, gives you a drink, and then they tour you around the room, make you get to know everybody, and it's just such a lovely like welcoming environment. And I really like that about York. And generally in the city as well, the locals are very friendly. family, and it's known to be like a really, really friendly, like welcoming city, and it is very much the case. It's a collegiate system, like it is at Oxford and Cambridge and like Durham, so you have colleges rather than halls of residence, so per college from day one it's more of a family environment. I've been Constantine for 3 years, and although in my 3rd year I didn't actually live in Constantine, I still very much feel a part of it. I still went to the running club like every week, and I still feel very like fond of Constantine College. There's always events on at the college, and the college teams are pretty much like really friendly and open, and they encourage that like family atmosphere. So it means that when you get here from day one, there's always people that you know and people that are friendly, and you get slung together and you have a good time. And I think that's really great, and I don't know whether you'd get that if you were in university halls. Like I never felt it was difficult to make friends here at all. Like I really liked it. So yeah, that is my honest opinion of the University of York. The good, the bad, the ugly, my true opinion. I hope you found this video insightful. If you have any questions on anything that I've mentioned in this video, or want my opinion on anything else that I may not have mentioned in the video about the University of York or York Law School, then please comment them down below and I'll be happy to answer them. But that's the end of this video, so I'll see you next week. I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!